So, I was going to the library near me, and I saw this kid come out. He was smiling, and he was so happy. He was about 5 years old. He came up to me and said, "I got a comic book!" And I'm like, "What is it?" And I see it. It's not a comic book. It's a graphic novel. The kid tells me it's Bone, and I tell him it's not a comic book. And he's like, "Yes, it is." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Now he's running away. Now, don't go looking at me and saying, "I'm a monster," because I'm not. I'm worse. I'm Count Olaf. Now that got me thinking. Not all kids know how to tell apart a comic book from a graphic novel. Now, I'm going to the librarian, and I see the librarian sees me getting the whole series of a manga. And she's like, "What's a manga? I'm new here." And I tell her, these are mangas. And she's like, "Oh, I don't think you should be reading these. I don't know what they are." And then she doesn't let me get them. So I'm like, fine. I go to a different librarian and I get them. So yeah. And that got me thinking. Not everybody knows what a manga is, how to read them, and what is a graphic novel and a comic book. How to tell them apart. So this is why I made this TED Talk. Hi, I'm a kid, as you can see. My name is Anthony, but did you know that a lot of kids and adults don't know how to tell a manga from a comic book, from a graphic novel? This is a problem. I must say, a lot of people don't know what a manga is. But if you're like, "What is a manga?" don't sweat it, because I will explain later. You want to know now? I should have known, since I'm a time traveler. A manga is a Japanese comic book. In a manga, you read right to left instead of this American way, left to right. Now, mangas don't have color. So don't be like, "I don't want color," because I shall tell you why mangas don't have color. In World War II, Japan was getting mobilized, and most men were getting ready to fight. So they needed comic strips. The government hired artists to get comic strips. They were black and white since they were cheaper, very cheap. Now that you know about the manga, if you still don't know how to read it, and you're like this guy, don't worry. We have the biggest problem in the world. Worse than Thanos coming to Earth to extinct mankind and make a new world of his own. Us humans can't always tell a comic book from a graphic novel. This is a problem because Asgore can't tell the difference either. Okay, that's from Undertale. See, a graphic novel is much bigger than a comic book. Now if you're like, "Why can't I just call them comics?" Then you were not listening. I prepared this whole TED Talk and you don't listen? Well, anyway, I'm mad. But I am to tell you why, since I am a time traveler and I've seen what happens if we don't tell you why. Graphic novels have more storyline than some comics. Now, I'm not saying comics don't have storylines, but most comics take longer to get their story across than some graphic novels. Now, if you were listening, I don't have to call Sans. Ring! Oh, he's calling! Oh, he's on a Skype. Oh no, it's FaceTime. So, okay, here's my little friend who's calling. Yeah? Why are you calling me here? You're like 2 feet away from me. But whatever. Yes. No. Okay. So, Sam said, if you weren't listening, you're gonna have a bad time. Now, I must warn you, as a good time traveler, what I've just told you is great power. And great power comes with great responsibility. Quote Iron Man to Spider-Man. Now, listen close. It's the little details that count. Quote Count Olaf. So do not give your information you have to evil. give it to normal people instead. If you know how to read a manga, sort of, and can tell a pornographic novel from a comic book, then I gotta tell you this fact. The first comic books were made for humans. Now, if you don't know all this, we're dudes. Then Thanos was going to come to the Earth, then I'm going to call the Avengers, they fail me, and then Endgame happens. So please, I beg you to remember one fact from my talk today. And also don't fall down in LA.